facts. Apparently, I guess you and Mr. TurtleBoy, is that how you pronounce his name, TurtleBoy? You guys finally met in person. Well, assuming that that's him, seeing that he denies it, if that's correct.
Yeah, he denied it. He lied all over his little blog. He said that he had went down there to defend his name, or that he wasn't Turtle Boy or whatever, and claimed to have been there at like 7:45, which is a lie. We have it. We have a picture of him sitting there, which is what I was able to use to make the memes of him, because he's so good at making memes. We figured we'd make some memes too. And so the picture you seeing him sitting there texting, that was taken at like 7:29. He was sitting there texting. He was not talking to the lady from Mass Live. She was still in the building with me. So right there, I already know, no matter how much he's gonna deny that he's Turtle Boy, he was. He had his little turtle bots, as they're called, from some of the blog people that the commenters call them turtle bots. So I guess he had some turtle bots in the sessions, obviously. Wow. And they were texting back and forth. And at some point, I was still in the building. My son had went out. Then he saw the lady from Mass Live, the reporter from Mass Live. And so I actually have pictures that are on my Facebook.
Yeah,
everybody's looking at.
I wanted to ask you about those.
Him,
you were posing.
my son. Yeah, but that was because at first my son and that reporter and Aiden Kearney and AKA Turtle Boy, they in fact were having a conversation, and my son was attempting to like resolve stuff, and my daughter ran in the building and was like, "Mom, Turtle Boy's out there." So I was like, "Oh, I've been waiting for him all night," because I had invited him and any of his little croonies to come talk to me, because I was at the desk, you know, letting people know where to go and so on and so forth, welcoming people. And there's no Turtle Boy people, no Turtle Bots, no nobody. All of a sudden at the end, you know, there's somebody at 7:45. So I go out there at 7:45. The meeting isn't even over till like almost 8 o'clock. By this time, Turtle Boy, you know, I shook his hand, put my hand out and thanked him for free advertising, because he put our last blog all over his page and his Twitter. And, you know, he wanted to try to deny who he was, and so I overtalked him, because that's what I do when I know I'm right and you're wrong and he's lying, and that's all there is to it.
Speaking of you saying deny, I wanted to ask you, why do you think he denies who he is? I mean, seeing that you guys met, I mean, you would think if that is him, he would come forth. You know, anyone with integrity would come forth and say, you know what, it is me.
But that's the word right there. That's the key word. You talking about people who probably can't even spell the word integrity. They talk about how I spell. They talk about what I do and how I write on my Facebook, and my cap locks are broke. No, you know what? I write in caps because I know it irritates people. I write in caps because I like caps. I write the way that I write because I like it. And if nobody else like it, take your eyeballs and put them where the hell they belong, which is on your own damn page, and don't look at mine. I got 1,000 people looking at my page that are my friends, that I know, because they choose to. These people don't have to be looking at my stuff. They choose to. So if your eyes are bleeding from the cap locks and everything else, oh well, stop listening with your eyeballs and actually read, because you hear with your ears and all that. You're all just a bunch of confused folk. You want to talk about other folk? Seriously. Like,
okay, so Dad, you really don't have an idea of why he would deny it, just on the fact that he has no
because he has a whole lot of enemies, A, and B, because his mother is politically connected, and I know ultimately that's not a good look for her. So he's not stupid to say, oh yeah, it's me.
Exactly.
So what he does admit to is being their marketing advertiser, and that the people who actually write for him are his friends. Well, listen, I've done my digging, my Googling, and I actually know people who went to school with him, and I understand why he's the pathetic little boy that he is. He's like 31, 33, something like that, went to Sullivan, was picked on by minority kids, and I guess that's why he feels the way he feels, and has to call people out their name and whatever it is that he does. I mean, you know, it started, I guess, out in Buffalo. Listen, I ain't never even paid no mind to no TurtleBoy or nothing until this whole dialogue came up and they put me on there. I ain't know nothing about that boy.
Well, I seen an article in regards to Ray Mariano. I guess he's retiring next year, is what the article read. And seeing that he is, I wanted to ask you personally. I assume you guys come from pretty much the same era where you guys are trying to change the city in a positive way.
No, we don't come from nothing alike. He's a bold-faced lie.
Okay.
He don't believe in complete transparency.
And what do you think he could have done better, seeing that that's how you feel?
He could have done a whole lot of things better. He could have treated these tenants with respect.
Yeah.
Okay? He could have fixed our apartments. I've been living in this apartment for over 5 years that has mold in it. That's even the manager, when she went to my basement, could not believe the mold that was there. When the Boston Globe came to my house, they actually took a sample to see if it has asbestos because of the way that my pipes are wrapped.
Yeah.
Okay? At the end of the day, people think that we live here for free. No, we don't live here for free. All of my neighbors, all of us, even I at one time, before I had got sick, I worked, my husband worked. We paid a lot of money for rent. Everybody pays. You pay 30% of your gross income. So at the end of the day, this whole, living in off taxpayers' dollars, what they don't know and what Ray Mariano fails to tell people is that there's a whole lot of people in here that are paying upwards to $1,000 a month for their rent for a 2-bedroom in Great Brook Valley. He's not telling you that. I have those people that are paying that. I have their rent receipts. I can back up what I'm talking about.
And you also,
I have a whole lot of stuff about what he's doing today that I already did.
You say he tried to almost take credit for things that you started on your own back when you were in Great Brook Valley.
No, I don't want that to be misperceived at all. All right. I'm not saying that, he isn't doing something different than what I did. He is doing something different. He's doing a Better Life program. And with a Better Life program, technically all that is a different grant that he got from HUD to provide, a better life and help people get jobs and supportive services and so on and so forth, okay? However, in the process of doing that, he had dismantled existing programming that was already there. And not only did he let go of the existing programming, but some of the program, like the Step Up program, that was a lot broader. When I brought it into Great Brook Valley, I brought all that stuff in there. These people are talking about what they do and don't know about me. Well, I got everything right here. Here I am, way back in '95, trying to get on the Housing Authority board back then because it was a questionable authority back then. And Mariano blocked it, of course, and they put Julie Sinkowski in there. And when they put Julie in there, they thought, oh, we'll be able to control her. That's in the Worcester magazine, okay? And then I have here, they want to talk about the programming that he's doing. Well, I have right here to back up everything that I'm saying because, in fact, here I am, program encourages enterprise, all right? I was helping people start their own businesses. That's what I was doing, okay? That's me there before I got sick and damn near died. Sick from living in the valley. And then look, here's when we brought Henry Cisneros, the head of HUD, to Great Brook Valley. I did all that. I was going to Washington, D.C.
Just to make sure I have things politically correct, you started the programming, well, some of the programs that just enable people to have more of a positive life in Great Brook Valley.
Right, way back. Listen, I have stuff going back here. Look, 1988, 1979. You want to talk about history? Look, Great Brook Valley, a history of anger and frustration. This was done back in 1979.
Yes,
and here we are still having the same conversations about the same issues. Here we are right here. Anger and frustration erupt. Anger and frustration continues to erupt because people want to deny that there's an issue. People are talking about the gangs. I talked to Mayor Levy at the time, City Manager Mulford at the time, prior to Mariano and Hoover being there. Told them before we even had a gang problem, we're starting to have a gang issue. If graffiti goes up, take the graffiti down. We didn't do any of that. Here we are all these many years later, third administration later, okay, 30 years later, and we having the same conversation I was involved in then. And then I got people on here talking all kinds of mad smack about what have I done and who am I?
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you who I am. Talk about what type of mother I was. Listen, when I was living in the valley, I was doing stuff while my children were in school, and I stayed home and received my welfare benefits because their father chose to leave them, abandon them, and not pay for them, of which, by the way, my children are now 29 and 31, and in fact, their father's still paying welfare back today for every penny that I got off of the welfare taxpayers. Might I add that my husband today worked for the state. I worked for the Housing Authority at one time, so we've paid our taxes. And I might add that every dollar that we get today goes back into the economy that helps people that are running their traps have a job in the first place. So at the end of the day, stop talking about what people are getting for free. Ain't nobody listen, I don't see me sitting here with nothing special. I'm sitting here with a bunch of brick and concrete.
Brick and concrete.
Brick and concrete. But I just want to show you, this is my children.
Yeah.
Boys thought toy guns were neat. All right? Those are my two children, my niece, my nephew, my neighbor's children. And we did a toy gun buyback program. Yeah. All right? That program was so nice, it went national. Look, here we came out in News Weekly. They started doing it in Weekly Reader. All over the country, people started doing that. So when people want to talk about what I was doing, they can talk about what they know, not what they think they know. Okay.
And speaking of what you're doing, I wanted to ask you, final question. Your potential plans. What potential plans do you have so you can continue making a major impact within the city? What upcoming plans are you thinking about putting together so you can still continue to make a major impact in the city?
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm going to do me. I always have, always will.
Yeah.
What my goal is to get the tenant commissioner seat on the Worcester Housing Authority board. And I plan on doing that by proving what I have here, which is going back to 1990. This is just to prove, I have certifications in training, in economic development, in housing. Okay, look, here's the EDSS program. This is the training program that I had where I can tell you where all of these people still reside today. Okay, this is the program that I brought into Great Brook Valley. This is the program he had to work with that he dismantled and chose to do what he does. So at the end of the day, yeah, I'm all good with him and all that. Here's the former executive director right here, Ruth Carlson. Can't nobody take nothing from her. Her and I, tenants and authority together and collectively had done right by making a positive collaboration between the two. So we were getting our maintenance done. We were getting everything that we needed. Here's the head of HUD at the time, Jim Wallace. Here's Peter Blue, Congressman Peter Blue, at my house. I might add that we almost lost public housing in the entire country at one point. And it was him and one other Republican voter that saved public housing in this country, thanks to me and the other people you see in these pictures. Okay, here we are down in DC handling business. Here I am meeting with Vice President Gore, Secretary of HUD, Henry Cisneros. All right, so if people want to know what I've done, this is what I've done. The reason people haven't heard from me in a minute is because I was deathly ill. But I believe in a partnership with the Housing Authority. I believe in welfare to work. I believe that if you have the ability to do what you got to do what you got to do. And at the end of the day, I just want you to know that back in 1998, we had A Better for Life, was called Economic Development and Supportive Services. I, with Dan Moynihan, who at the time was the Resident Services Director, brought a $5 million grant into the Worcester Housing Authority. I did this, made this back when we didn't have computers how we have now. This is the programming that I did. This is what I did. So I got the documentation. What does he have? What does he have? He don't have this. He has what he has. I have what I have. So our programs were different, but yet they were the same.
They were effective.
Mine was, except for the people who were employed by the housing authority who no longer work for them. Isn't that ironic? Because he's such a great executive director. I think out of all the people that I had working for the authority, there may be 5 left. And the rest, still living housing, are no longer working because those particular jobs that they had were those wonderful jobs that they give you that only last for the length of a grant or a specific project. There's no stability. Yeah. So once again, when he blurts out all this, we want to get them out in 7 years, the reason they can't be out in 7 years is because they can't keep the job for 7 years. Not even through the authority that he has them employed at. So if he's not going to keep them employed, what makes him think that their employer outside of here would keep them employed? And then they have no job. Where do they lay their head at night? I'm sorry. You have a problem with public housing. You need to have a problem with rent control. You need to have a problem with the fact that people cannot afford to pay for their day-to-day living expenses, even if they're, listen, my son makes $35,000 a year. He pays back student loans. My daughter makes almost $35,000 a year. They pay their bills. They pay for their vehicles, their apartments, their children, all of that. Their student loans, all right? They literally live check to check.
Yeah.